Chats at the Creek, episode number 2. Now this morning, we're going to introduce ourselves real quick. My name is Robert, I have Chanthorn, and I have Gary. And we're the pastoral team here at Hosanna Baptist Portodura. Hello, hello. And so, today's topic is that we're going to be discussing faith. And we have a couple of our personal experiences that led us to believe in Jesus. So first I want to ask you, Gary, what led you, or what personal experiences led you to a faith in Jesus?
Yeah, well, I had a wee bit of an unusual story because I was into electronics and I was building illegal transmitters with a friend of mine who happened to be a Christian. And one day he asked me if I had any problems in my life, and I said no. But for the next 20 minutes I was sweating like crazy down my, and I never sweat. And I felt really bad. So in the end I thought I can't do any harm telling him. So I actually told him about it. This thing that happened earlier in my life, and it was still affecting me, and there were people that were part of that still affecting me. So when I told him the story, man, he just bowed his head and he said, "I'm going to pray for you." And he bowed his head and he started praying, and I mocked him, to be honest. But he prayed that thing would never happen again. That one thing that kept recurring as a consequence of what happened some years earlier, and the next day I realised for the first time this thing didn't happen, and so for a couple of days I was trying to process it.
Yeah. And
in the end I realised that there was no explanation except for Eric's prayer, and so I said, "Okay, God, good enough for you, good enough for me," and that's when I first started to try and connect with God and walk with God.
Yeah.
I didn't understand all the stuff about Jesus dying for me, all that kind of stuff. That came as part of the journey.
Wow.
But
yeah.
I've never regretted it. 48 years later,
Wow.
I'm still on the journey and I'm having a great time with it. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's an awesome testimony. 48 years of having fun with Jesus. That is excellent. And the personal experience is that he prayed, his friend prayed, and God answered him and answered the prayer. That's amazing, Gary. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Chanthorn.
Yes.
What personal experience or experiences has led you to the conclusion, God, you are real?
Yeah. Well, in my early years, when I was, finishing school and stuff like that, those were pretty hard years for me. But the Lord knew who to send my way, and He sent my wife. And ever since the first day I met her, she always talked to me about Jesus. She's like, "Do you know Jesus? Did you know He loves you? Did you know He died for you?" And I was like, "Man, what is all this? This is all rubbish," and I couldn't understand it.
Oh.
But even though my parents had always told me that Jesus is real and all this stuff, I just simply couldn't believe it for myself. But her prayers over the years and her constantly praying for me, even though I was such a ratbag, I was a real ratbag to her. Every time she spoke about Jesus, I flipped. But one day when I hit rock bottom, I decided, man, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. And so one day I decided, she said, "Do you want to come to church?" Because I think she could see me really broken and really hurt. So she said, "Do you want to come and try church one time?" And I was like, "Okay, then I'll come this one time." And so, but man, when I came to church, the moment I walked through the doors, the front doors, I felt this absolutely overwhelming presence of love.
Wow.
And I remember standing there trying to hold my tears and then saying, "How can somebody love me? How can somebody love me? I'm such a sinner." And it's funny because when I came in and I sat at the back, away from everybody, and made sure no one noticed me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But little did I know that this church, they had this way of doing things, and it was allowing people to speak words from the Lord. The first word was, "There's a young man here who's looking for the Lord." And I looked around and I said, "Well, there's heaps of young men here. Could be anybody." Yeah. And so I stayed on my seat. And this was an altar call, by the way. They were inviting people to come forward to come and know who Jesus is and to really receive Him. And so I waited for another word, and I said, if this is real, if this is real, it's got to be more than just this word. And so the second word came, and then it was a bit more specific, and they said, you're about between the age of 18 and 20, which at the point I was 19.
Whoa.
And so
Whoa.
I said, there's quite a few people around my age. So I was like, I'll wait for one more word. And I said, if this is real, one more word. And then the last word came in, and this one hit the nail right on top of the head. Because the person at the front said, I can see your plasterer's trowel.
Wow.
Moving up and down the wall. And that, for me, was God is real. Because I was a plasterer.
Whoa.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I came to know the Lord. Yeah.
Whoa.
I ran down the front and I said, Lord, here I am. Yeah.
Wow. What a powerful testimony. Thank you, Chanthorn. What a powerful testimony. how God keeps pressing into us. Keeps pressing into us. Why? Because He cares and He wants the best for us and He knows the best for us. And because He loves us.
Yeah, that's right.
And I myself have also experienced that love too. Well, when I was in high school, there were some instances where I did get really, really upset. And so did my parents. And it wasn't healthy. And it brought a lot of brokenness into our family. And so in desperation, my mother signed me up with an organization. She paid a large sum of money so that she can send me to this country. And so, at that point, I was like, oh, sweet, okay. Drinking age is 18, no parents. Yeah, sure, why not? So her first option was just like, oh, would you like to go to South America so that you can learn Spanish? No, I don't want to do that. And she's like, well, how about the UK? And I was just like, oh, no, I think their accent's a bit too much for me. And then she mentioned Australia, and I was just like, oh yeah, Australia, I like that. And then she named a place called New Zealand, and my first thought was a question mark. Where's that? and she said, oh, it's off the coast of Australia. That's where Lord of the Rings was filmed. And immediately I was hooked. I love the scenery in Lord of the Rings, and I said, I want to go there. So we got the process ready, and I landed in New Zealand February 4th, 2013. Never forget it. And then, ironically, I will say, is that I ended up at El Rancho Christian Camp. And the reason I say ironically is because with the organization, they gave us a list. I think you can do 5 camps or other places in New Zealand that you can choose as a part of where you want to go and volunteer. So I think I remember I put some other adventure parks, this Wild Forest Park, and another park, and El Rancho was towards the bottom, you see. And so when I got the email saying, oh, congratulations, you're going to El Rancho, I was sort of like, oh, no, man, I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go here. But then I started reading the fine details, and it had stuff like arrows, air rifles, etc., all the sports and stuff. So I was like, okay, it's justified. I think I'll have fun. So I ended up going to El Rancho. And I met someone who was very outgoing, very energetic, and he really connected with me. He really connected with me. He wasn't so much focused on my bad habits, which I've learned, which I learned. He ignored that, but he genuinely cared for me and loved me and had a strong connection. And I've never felt that before, because before my friends only wanted to use me for my resources and for other things. But this young man really genuinely cared for me, and I never felt that before. And so then we just get talking, and so he invited me to youth group. So I was just like, oh yeah, sure, why not? So we go to youth group, and whenever we go to youth group, and when I walk into youth group here at Hosanna, just the introduction and the greetings, it blew me away. I've never felt so cared for or valuable ever in my life, ever. I've had great parents. I've had great grandparents and such, but for a friend and for someone to truly want to get to know you and not just use you, that really struck me deep. That really struck me deep, and I'll never forget it. That night there was an altar call, which was that you go up to receive some prayer. So my heart was beating really, really fast. I didn't want to do it. I was resisting. But I said to God, God, I know this is real. I know this is real. And so I went down to the front and I wanted to receive some prayer. And a young man prayed for me and he asked me, what would you like to receive prayer for? And I said, I would like to just say sorry for all the mistakes I did. And so he started praying for me. And what I felt was no one can take that away from me. Nothing can take that away from me from what I experienced that night. Because when I was, nobody knew this. I didn't say a word because I didn't know that you could talk at that point. So, but what I was feeling something filling me up. Something was draining me, and then it was filling me up. I've never felt that. I've experienced a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol in my past, but nothing experienced to this. And everything was filling me up. And someone had a picture for me, and he said, Robert, I feel that I get a picture of a waterfall filling you up right now. And that freaked me out because what he just heard from God was exactly what I was experiencing. And that day was March 22nd, 2013 is when I started a journey with Jesus Christ, because it has provided so much refuge, so much love and care and purpose to all of our lives that here we are today, 2018, on March 2nd, right now, sharing to you that God is real and that He cares for you and that He loves you.
That's right.
So, it was nice talking with you, Gary. It was nice talking with you, Chanthorn. And it was nice talking with you guys who are watching. Well, be here, same time, same place, next Friday, Chats at the Creek. Bless you guys.